All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a huge question that almost every organization faces. Why do so many projects just go completely off the rails? And more importantly, what are the powerful, proven tools we can actually use to save them? You've probably seen it happen. A project kicks off with all this excitement and big promises, but somewhere along the way, it just ends in disappointment. It's a super common story, right? But the good news is, it's not some unsolvable mystery. The causes are usually pretty clear, and the solutions are totally within our reach.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through why projects go wrong in the first place. Then we'll look at starting with the right strategy, how to map out your destination, and how to track your progress for real. And we'll wrap it all up with a simple playbook for success.
Here's the thing. Projects don't just suddenly fail out of the blue. Nope. The seeds of failure are almost always planted right at the very beginning, long before the first dollar has spent or the first task even gets started.
This right here, this is the absolute foundation. You can think of your company's strategy as the why, and projects, they're the how. They're the engines that make the strategy actually happen. So if a project isn't directly connected to that big picture, it's already on the wrong track, just burning fuel with no real destination.
And that brings us to the very first major pitfall: picking the wrong mission from the get-go. This happens all the time. Projects get launched that honestly have very little to do with what the organization is actually trying to accomplish.
So, how do you avoid that trap? Well, one of the best tools out there is something called a project screening matrix. It's basically a scoring system that forces you to be objective. You rate potential projects on things that really matter, like how well they fit the strategy, how urgent they are, and their potential return on investment. It's all about making sure you're working on the missions that count. But what happens when you skip that objective process? That's when you can end up with one of these, a sacred cow. This is that project that just won't die, not because it's a good idea, but because somebody powerful wants it done. It's a project that runs on politics, not performance, and it can drain resources from the stuff that actually matters.
Okay, on to the second reason projects fail. Let's say you've actually picked the right project, it's strategically brilliant. It can still completely fall apart if nobody on the team has a clear, shared idea of what they're supposed to be building.
See, without a really clear, agreed-upon definition of what done looks like, you get what we call an unstable scope. And that is a recipe for chaos. It leads to this thing called scope creep, where the project just grows and grows uncontrollably, with endless changes and confusion. It's a total nightmare.
Now, the fix for an unstable scope is the Work Breakdown Structure, or WBS. Just think of it as the official blueprint for the project. It takes the entire project and breaks it down into smaller, more manageable pieces. It creates a single shared map so that every single person on the team knows exactly what they're building and what they're responsible for.
All right, so you've picked the right mission. You've drawn a crystal clear map. What could possibly go wrong now? Well, the third way projects fail is by basically flying blind, having no real idea where you are on that map once the journey has started.
A lot of teams make this huge mistake of only tracking how much money they've spent, but that can be so misleading. I mean, you could have burned through half your budget, but only have, say, 10% of the actual work done. Spending money is not the same thing as making progress, not at all.
And this is where a really powerful technique called Earned Value Management, or EVM, becomes your best friend. This chart you see here, it's like a GPS for your project. It doesn't just look at what you've spent. It pulls together the scope, the schedule, and the cost to give you a true, honest picture of how things are really going.
It all works by tracking three key things. First, there's planned value, or PV. That's your original plan. Then you've got actual cost, or AC, which is simply what you've spent. But the magic ingredient is earned value, or EV. That's the value of the work you've actually gotten done. When you compare these three lines, you can see in an instant if you're on schedule, on budget, or way off course. No more flying blind. So we've looked at the big problems, and we've uncovered the specific tools you need to solve them. Let's put it all together into a really simple but incredibly powerful playbook for success.
It really boils down to this simple three-step process. First, align. Use the system to make sure you're picking the right projects for the right reasons. Second, map.
Use a work breakdown structure so that everyone is working from the same blueprint. And third, track. Use earned value management to get an honest, real-time look at your actual progress.
And that's really the key takeaway here. Effective project management isn't just about ticking boxes or hitting deadlines. It's the critical engine that takes an organization's big picture strategy, its why, and systematically turns it into a tangible reality, the what. At the end of the day, it's how a vision actually gets built.